We ain't taking no L's. No, 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 no. Same spanking out of sales. Go, 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 go. The battle's been won. He said it's done. So we ain't taking no L's. We ain't taking no
Hello,
L's.
everyone. This is my podcast. You are not late in the game. And today we have Miss Angela Moon.
Hi, everyone.
Some of you may know her as Angie. Some of you may know her as Moon. Some of you may know her as Coach Ange. But I know her as Pinky. And she is close to my heart. And she is my first guest on this podcast. And I'm so blessed to have her.
Yes, thank you for having me, sis. I'm very proud of you at this moment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So today, we're going to talk about how you are not late in the game.
Okay.
And my first question for you is, Pinky, is what was your transitional period for you to say, okay, I want something better for myself?
It would have to be when COVID hit. I was working a job. I had been in a job for, I think it was about maybe 17 years at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the world had shut down and we were all stuck at home, which was fine. I loved being at home during COVID. But just being there and in my job, it was coming a little bit stressful at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I want something different. The reality was the money was not making. I was not making the money I felt like I should be making as 17 years in the actual company. And so it was that point I was like, I remember sitting in my desk and I was like, where my desk was at my old place was right in front of a window. And I remember sitting there and I was like, it's time to go back to school. And I just so happened to be like Googling at the time and Virginia Union showed up.
Okay.
And I said, I think I'm going to apply. But I was scared. I'm not going to lie. I was nervous as I don't know what, because I literally was 42. I hadn't even turned 43 yet at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to apply. So I applied. This is the craziest. I applied, but didn't send my money for the application. I just applied and sent it through. And so I was like, okay, it is what it is. Send it through. I want to say it had to be like maybe 2 months later, I was sitting on the couch and I got an email and it said, you've been accepted to Virginia Union. And I was like, you're joking.
Even you didn't send the money and you
I have not sent the application fee in yet.
Okay.
And so I was like, this got to be a joke. This can't be real. And I remember I emailed the admissions and they was like, yeah, you've been accepted. We got your transcripts. We're looking at, we can transfer, we're accept about 94 of your credits. And I was like, are you for real? Are you serious about this? Like, yeah, we're gonna set you up a meeting with an advisor and everything. And I literally set up a meeting with an advisor like 2 weeks later. So it was in that moment I was like, all right, it's time for a career change. And I was going to do education. So I was stuck with, I'm going to do special education. I'm going back to school to be a teacher because you got off during the summertime. You got spring break. You had winter break. And then when it snowed, you didn't have to go to work. So I was like, I'm going back to school to be a teacher. So it was probably in that moment, I was like, I started to transition into something different. Because, when we all hit 40, the grand 40 is, I want to be something new. It's going to be something different. But even though I hit 40 and it was about going on 3 years later, I decided it was time for something new. And so it was in that moment when I was like, it's time to go back to school. And I did it. And I went back to school.
Dang, so you have faith. And it's amazing because regardless of you even having the money to put in, it's like God still made a way for you to get in.
Yes. Yes.
And do you feel like that opened that door for you to say, hey, it's not late for me. Regardless, I'm in my 40s. I can still transition to something new.
It did. Because at one point I was just like, when I was doing the application, I was like, nah, girl, let this go. What did you for? If you haven't did it since you graduated high school, what's the point of going back to school now? So I was like, I sent it, didn't even think about it, never went back to it, saw the email. I was like, okay. But it was in that moment where I was like, it's not too late.
Mm.
And then I remember saying, okay, I'm about to be a teacher in my 40s. A lot of these teachers are younger than me. What am I thinking about at this moment? But I was like, I'm God, I'm going to trust you right now
Mm.
because I want something different. You actually opened the door for me to get something different. Now it's time to fulfill it. And so, granted, I did go to school. When I graduated from high school, I went to VCU, but we all know life is life and college life is college life. And
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I messed up. I messed up completely. I got caught up in the party life. But and then going back to school in my 40s, it made me to appreciate the fact that it's time to buckle down. Back then it was like you
Living my best
living my
life.
best life, going to parties, having a good old time. But now when you really got to understand it's time to
Mhm.
buckle down, it was time to buckle down. So to me, it made me change my mindset
Okay.
and be focused.
I like that. So basically, God's time is the best timing.
Yes.
Okay. So also you said you was a part of your job for 18 years or 20 years?
About so I left my job. I was with this company for 20 years.
20 years.
Yes, 20 years, and I transitioned to another job.
So what made you do that transition? Like, hey, I could still start something new. So not only did you start new in school, you went new into a whole career.
Whole career about almost 2 years ago. I changed. I left my job. I left the first job and went to a different job. Start all over again. It literally was a part of my life. I was like, I wanted more.
Mm.
I wanted more. I was actually, and this is really crazy because I was actually at the last, close to graduation, under degree of education. I was almost there. It was time to do your student teaching. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm about to do. I'm about to do my student teaching. And then I remember a girlfriend of mine that used to work with me at the job called me, was like, are you ready for a change? And I was like, okay. And I said, yeah, it's time. I want something different. I want something different. And I remember I just applied for the job. I got the interview, but it was crazy because I ended up going on a family vacation on a cruise.
Mm.
And I remember her texting me, was like, they're going to call you. I said, okay, I'm going to put my phone on. Now I'm in the middle of the ocean. I'm going to roam, I know, but I was not going to miss this opportunity. But I remember being on the boat on vacation in the middle of the ocean, and I got the phone call. It was like, they want to have an interview with you when I get back to the States on that following, it was like that Monday or that Tuesday when I got back.
Wow.
And I went for the interview. First interview went through, went for the second interview that went through. And then it was in that moment I was like, I got the job. I was like, it's time to go. But I had already calculated. And it's the weirdest thing. I remember I said a couple of years ago, I said, I'm not going to go past 20 years at this job. So when you speak it in the atmosphere, it will come to pass. Because I literally said I was not going to go 20 years at this job. And God saw fit that I did not go 20 years, past 20 years.
Dang.
He opened the door. I did my anniversary, service anniversary was that June.
Mm-hmm.
And that July, I got another job and I started that job in July. So I went from 20 to starting all over.
Look at God.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So like how did it feel like going into that new step in your career, like, and especially I'm also betting it was like a nice pay increase, like, hey, I'm doing a new step in my life for me.
It felt good. It really did. It was like, wow. Because I realized I could go somewhere else. Because for 20 years, I was with this one job and I got comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I got stagnant. And I was like, well, I've been here for 20. I'm already vested in this company. I kind of like, we do this, we do that. I'm just not going to go. But I actually took the faith. I said, I'm going to do this. So coming into the new job, it is like so much better, less stress. It feels amazing when you can come home and you feel relaxed, and it's just a beautiful thing. So it was actually in that moment I was like, God, when I stepped out of my box, you still provided.
Mm.
When I stepped out of my comfort zone, you still provided. Even when I didn't know what it was going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
I still trust you. You still provided. And you still are providing. Because 20 years when one come to, it's amazing when you tell people, yeah, I was with them for 20 years. 20 years. And I started all over, and I don't regret it.
That's awesome. Now we're gonna go a little deeper though. You laughing?
Okay.
No, we are. We're gonna go a little deeper. So you transitioned to new school.
Mm-hmm.
And also let's talk about your major. So you was in education. Did you stay in education?
No, I couldn't do student teaching because I started this new job.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to get my foot in the door. You don't want to take like no short-term disability or
Correct.
anything, a leave of absence or anything like that, because from your job or anything like that. So I was like, how am I going to do this? I remember talking to my advisor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I don't think I'm be able to do this. I may have to change my major. But I had started looking into a minor, which was religious studies.
Okay.
And I was actually, my ultimate goal was to get my master's of divinity. That was, even once I graduated my undergrad, I said my next step was going to seminary school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I just need my undergrad to get into seminary. And I remember I was talking to one of the ladies in the registrar office during graduating, and I was like, I had to do student. That's the only thing that was keeping me from graduation is I needed to do student teaching.
Okay.
And I couldn't do student teaching because I started this new job.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to get my foot in the door. You don't want to take like no short-term disability or
Correct.
anything, a leave of absence or anything like that, because from your job or anything like that. So I was like, how am I going to do this? I remember talking to my advisor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I don't think I'm be able to do this. I may have to change my major. But I had started looking into a minor, which was religious studies.
Okay.
And I was actually, my ultimate goal was to get my master's of divinity. That was, even once I graduated my undergrad, I said my next step was going to seminary school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I just need my undergrad to get into seminary. And I remember I was talking to one of the ladies in the registrar office during homecoming one day, and I ran into her and we was talking. I was like, yeah, I said, I just, I'm a student teacher, I'm not going to do it. I said, but I said, the degree I really want is religious studies.
Mm-hmm.
And so she actually talked to the dean, and we got my paperwork moving, and we flipped me into religious studies. And so I started taking all my religious studies classes and was doing everything I can. And then next thing you know, I got an email, was like, you have now qualified for graduation. And so I was like, you got to be joking. I'm on this like this, all right, who's playing on my? This can't be real. Hold on, let me swipe again. Come on, let me refresh because this can't be real. But it was actually, I would say, 2025 was another pivoting moment for me
Mm-hmm.
in my life, because it was like, I always say it was literally a breakthrough year. So much had took place for me in the beginning of that year, where I literally said, God, I believe you when you say, if it was delayed, it's not denied. Because I graduated, and I was like, wow, like I graduated from school. I didn't think this day was going. I always kept thinking, I was like, it's going to be long. It's going to take me forever. But to know that I got my undergrad degree, and that was one degree I was working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then not even that, knowing like after I graduated, when they went back and did the audit of all my credits, I got a phone call that said, technically you graduated with 2 degrees. So you have a bachelor's in communities and community-based education, and you have a bachelor's degree in religious studies.
Dang, girl, look at
So-
you multiply. Look at you,
Look at
sis.
the increase.
Look at that. I love it.
Yes. And
Okay.
then in that same year, I applied to grad school.
So it went from undergrad, bachelor's, new job, And then we in grad school.
in grad school.
Come on, sis.
My second semester within seminary, and I love it. Love it.
Man. Oh yeah, by the way, she a minister too, y'all. She a minister too. I forgot to add that in. I sister minister too. All right, so another question for you.
Mhm.
So through all of that, how did you also learn how to love Angie, navigate through the world of singleness as a woman,
Mhm.
and also your dating life?
Mm. I'm still navigating that part.
Okay.
Still, but I have embraced singleness.
Okay.
It literally has taken me years to master. I'm not saying a master, but to get into where you can enjoy being single.
Okay.
And it's okay to be single.
Mm-hmm.
It is okay. I think for me, it was transitioning from when I was able to start moving and start doing things. It was more like I got that peak at 45. When I hit 45, it was like I realized I was starting to see what I wanted, what I desired. What does Angie desire? What's best for Angie? What is she's worth? What is her worth? And loving me myself. Um, I realized that I did have a lot. I kept holding on to a lot of trauma, which we tend to do, but we don't like let it go. We just
Gotcha.
sweep it under the rug and we cover it up. And then if we don't unpack it, it's like we're carrying around it all this in this book bag that like it represents our life, and we're just throwing it in there. But eventually, that book bag's gonna bottom out. So I actually literally had to take a moment and be like, okay, Angie, I can't keep doing the same thing. You're 45, you want to be a wife, you want to be a mother, whether God makes you a bonus mom, God makes you a mom where you birthing your own child, or God makes you a mom by adopting a child or being a foster mom. But you want to be a mom. You got to figure out what I got to do, or how do I love myself to be that version for somebody else. Because if I don't love myself, how can I know how somebody should love me? And if I don't love myself, how can I love another child or show that same love to a child when I'm struggling with the love for my own self? I don't want to transport that negative energy to somebody else. So I have been learning and healing and growing to unpack the badness, unpack the trauma, unpack the things that was holding me back, unpack the things that I was like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this because this happened. I am learning, and I have learned to let go of the past. We can't change it. We can't rewind and go back and do it again. The past is just what it is. It's the past. But if we keep living in the past, then we're being stuck ourselves. How can we see what the future? I used to always love this saying. I remember I heard it in one of Tyler Perry's movie. He said, that's why the rear view mirror is always smaller than the windshield. Because it's not for us to keep looking back and see it. It's just to get a glimpse. So why do I keep living back in the past when God is telling me just see how far you come? Because if you keep looking back, you're gonna miss what's before you. So I was like, I'm learning to unpack. I'm learning I can't take it all with me. I'm learning to leave it here.
Yes.
But I'm learning to actually love that reflection in that woman I see in the mirror.
I love that. And she glowing.
Oh, thank you.
That woman is glowing.
Yes.
So one of the things you said was about letting go.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like to share, what was one of those things you had to let go and really leave in the past to move forward and really grasp what God has for you now?
One thing I kept holding on to was when the relationships didn't work. I always said, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? What could I have done this? But then sometimes I'm learning, and I've learned that some relationships were just there to teach you a lesson. Some were there to help you to grow. Some were there just to get you to another level. or they needed to push you somewhere. And it wasn't that you did anything wrong, it was their time is up.
Mm.
They weren't supposed to be there. They was only there for a period.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta let go of things that were expired to get the stuff that's new. Because you don't want to keep expired milk in a refrigerator. It's
No,
gonna
you don't.
stink. So it's good. It's not gonna smell good. It's
It's
like
not.
it's gonna be a hard smell.
You'll say, girl, this getting too old. I ain't doing
So
this.
why do I keep holding on to those things? If I keep holding on to it, then what do I have in my hand that something new can fall into? Nothing.
Mm.
So I'm learning that it didn't work out. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It taught you something. Now you know what you want. Now you know what you desire. Now you know what you're not going to tolerate. Now you know your boundaries. Now you know your expectations because you're not going to repeat what you just went through.
Look at you, spend them gems.
Clock it.
I mean, what they say, clock that G, clock that G. All right, another question.
Uh-huh.
What would you tell your old self, the 40-year-old Angie, right now?
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Stop looking at the clock. Because at 40, I was, I'm 40. I got to be married. I got to have kids. Stop looking at the clock. It's God has a time for everything. Like the Bible says, there's a time to live and there's a time to die. But God has a time for everything in our lives. But we're so focused on what man says the clock is. By 40, we should be here. By 50, we should be here. In our 20s, we should be here. In our 30s, we should have covered it. It doesn't always, that's not how my story was designed. So I have to stop looking at the clock and live. Because if I keep looking at the clock, then I'm going to miss something.
Yeah.
So I have to really tell my 40-year-old self, just stop looking at the clock and just live. And you're going to be fine.
I like that. I like that. No, it's true because in this world, we do look at the clock.
Yeah.
And we also look at social media. We look at like, okay, this girl got her engagement ring, or we like, this person got their promotion, this one got their house. Oh, I'm still in an apartment, or I'm still in this situation or in that situation. It's like, when is my time, or I'm too late, or I'm late in the game.
Yeah.
And that's why the title is You Are Not Late in the Game, because your timing is your timing. Your lane is your lane.
Yep.
And how do you still trust God in the lane that he has you in now when it comes to being married and kids? Because that is something that you desire.
It's something I desire. It's something I pray about. But I also know that I'm trusting in his timing because I want it to be the right time. And I know what it's like to jump ahead of God and it doesn't align right. It does not move right. And I remember telling myself once, I'm not gonna move until you tell me to move. Because I've jumped in front of him and then realized everything is not gonna work out. Everything is just going chaotic. It doesn't align with the will. It's just confusion. But I'm realizing and I'm learning that God, I'm just gonna trust you. Even if my husband, God said, I don't, he's not here. God, I'm gonna still trust you because you're letting me and you're allowing me to learn to love me. So, and I know God loves me, and I need to learn to love myself even more. So, the husband will come because you see people that are 50, 60, some people are 70 getting married. The one that God has for me is coming. But it's gonna be, and my prayer is, God, let it be in your time, not my time, because your time is the right time.
That's deep. Yeah, that's deep because that's trusting on a whole nother level.
Yes, it is.
Listen, I get that to you, boo.
Yes, it is.
That's trust on a whole nother level.
Yes.
What also, because one of the things you keep saying, I had to learn to love me. And my question is to you is, when did you learn to love yourself? Like truly love you?
I want to say last year.
last year.
Last year, I learned to love me.
May I ask, what was that turning point where you was like, I'm not loving Angie the way I should?
Um, I realized that when I I thought I was loving me, but I was loving me wrong.
Mm,
I was selling myself short. I wasn't allowing myself time to heal, and I wasn't giving myself grace. And I didn't forgive myself.
mm,
I was holding on to unforgiveness for myself. But it was in last year for me, I had a moment where I was, my body was fighting to stay alive,
mm,
literally. I got really sick, didn't know what was going on. I thought my own, because I thought I was just gaining weight, or I've developed asthma at an old age. I wasn't breathing. It's like my heart rate was like I would go from one end to a couch to the other end of the couch, and I just couldn't breathe. And I remember is because of course, I coached cheering. I remember
mm.
I was at the game and I was enjoying the girls, and I remember walking the track, and I was like, I told my um, assistant coach at the time, I was like, "Hold on, we gotta stop." I was like, "My chest is tightening up. This is weird." I said, "Something's not right." Um, and I remember going to the hospital, the emergency room. I went to patient first, and they was like, "Do you have any heart issue?" I was like, "No, I ain't never had no heart issue." Wait a minute, what you mean?
Mhm.
And then it was like, "There's some stress on your heart," and I'm like, "What you mean stress on my heart?" And so they rushed me to the emergency room. They did another EKG. They didn't see anything wrong. I was like, "I don't know what's going on. Y'all are freaking me out." And they took my blood and they was like, "Your hemoglobin dropped to 4.4."
Mm.
Your hemoglobin is the blood, your red blood, like that's keeping your body going and keeping the
Got
oxygen
you.
going in your
Okay.
body. You're technically supposed to be anywhere between 12 to 15. I was at a 4.4.
Dang,
And
you was really low.
I was really low. And I remember the doctor said, if you would have waited any longer, your body was going to start to shut down. And because you're so low, we got to you need a blood transfusion because we got to bring your blood back up.
Mm.
I had discovered I had fibroids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in the uterus as a female, we for it's something that's common for Black women to have fibroids, but mine's are really really bad. That when your famous unflow time of the month comes, I was literally bleeding out. So when I had normally my your unflow would
Mm-hmm.
be you're
Yeah.
heavy, whatever. Mine's she had a mind of her own this
So you
go
was
round.
going through them thick pads, the ones that was from here to here. They was
I
just
literally I was going through 4 pads, 2 pairs of underwear, and it still was going through my pants.
like the depend ones.
No, like regular underwear. I
Okay,
had
gotcha.
like, but I was going
That's
through
still a
that.
lot though.
I was going through a lot. I was bleeding, literally bleeding out.
Wow. You
Um,
was literally the woman with the issue of blood.
yes, I to this day I would say I understood what that what that story means
Dang.
because we tried everything. My doctors really tried. We tried different birth controls to try to regulate it. It was not happening. It was like one. I literally, lie to you not, I bled from September all the way to December till I had surgery to
Oh
remove
my
the
gosh.
fibroids. And I remember in that period of time, I got depressed.
Mm.
Not gonna lie, I got depressed because as women,
Mm-hmm.
we all know when that time of that month comes, we don't want to be touched.
Mm-mm.
We're very cognizant of what we put on. We just don't want
No,
you
you
don't know
don't.
what's gonna happen.
Not when she
But
heavy, no.
so for me, it was I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to go out because I didn't know like if I stand up, is anything happening? Do y'all see anything?
Mm-hmm.
So I I really was depressed because I just felt icky. And I felt, oh, like this was just,
Unclean.
yeah, I really felt unclean. I literally knew what that woman with the issue of blood would say when she felt unclean. And she tried everything and it still was no help. Wow. God, I just thought about something. And I remember talking to a girlfriend of mine and I said, I just want somebody to pray over me. And I don't want just anybody. I want somebody that is anointing to pray over me. And I remember being in church one Sunday and the preaching was great. The preaching was good. The singing was amazing. Like the spirit was high. And it was in that moment I laid prostrate on that floor and I just let it out. And I just cried. I wailed. At that point, I could no longer be covered or even be like, okay, I can't let people know what I'm going. Like right now, I didn't care because in that season, it's like I felt like that woman. I just got to get to the hem of his garment. Like I got to get to it. And it was in that moment, it's like I just got to let it go, and I let it go at the altar. And I just remember the women of my church, and then my pastor's mother praying over me, and just the anointing in the spirit that left my body, and it was just like an amazing fear, amazing. And like by the grace of God, I when I say God started providing things. I remember that I had stopped bleeding for 3 weeks prior to my surgery. And I was like, I was still timid. I was like, okay, is this going, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was just like in that season, I literally felt depressed. It was almost like I was living that story out of the Bible. But I went through the surgery. They removed the fibroids. They removed 75% of them. Still a little bit there, but we are going to go in and do a second surgery. But I feel so much better. I have more energy because I was losing so much blood that I had to offset it by taking iron pills to give me the energy to put back in my body. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
And what made you like all jokes aside, Pink, like what made you not break? Like from September to December bleeding. A period from September to December. Girl, I be freaking out on my 4 to 5 days and you September to December. Like, what made you be like, God, did you ever be like, God, do you love me?
I did. Because I remember I was like, I kept saying, God, why me? Why me? Why me? And I remember my best friend was like, I remember she used to always tell me, you always ask God, why me? Why not you?
That reverse the beginning.
Why not you? Because you're going to have something after this. And I was like, okay. But I literally, when I say in that moment, I'm not going to lie. I was like, God, why do I have to keep going through this? Why am I going through this season of literally feeling like this? My body's going through like this. My health is like, I was going to the emergency rooms like twice, because it was like I went to a game. I had to leave a game early because I just
bled out
at the game. And I was like, I don't want to keep living. Like I didn't go in there. I missed homecoming, my first homecoming. I didn't even go to homecoming because I didn't want to go there. And I'm like, I gotta run to the bathroom and get everything straight. Like it was just too much. So that whole period of time, I isolated myself and I stayed within myself. Because I just didn't.
And that time, really, that isolation also made you lonely because you by yourself.
I was by myself. I was by myself. And I kind of look at it like I was also going through my first semester seminary. So maybe it was a point that God needed me to slow down, to focus on one thing, and then focus on my health and not be out here or, just, I'm not saying out here wilding out, but just.
He was setting you apart.
Setting me apart. Like, you need to focus. You need to calm. Well, since you need to stay on the task, I'm going to make you stay on the task. I wish it won't bleed him, but but
his way.
I want to say I don't regret going through that season.
And why do you say that?
because it made me realize that I became a different I did become a different person. I became I was no longer I was a type of person that I wouldn't tell you how I felt.
Mm.
I would keep some things to myself. But I realized that life, it was almost like you reached that line, like life could be a different way. And I did not, I say, once I get over this, I don't want no regrets. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to love me. I'm going to do for me. I'm going to make myself happy. I don't want no regrets.
Mm.
And I want to feel beautiful. And I used to always say, I'm not beautiful. I'm pretty.
Why?
I
You
used
did used to
I
say that
used
a
to
lot.
always tell
Cause I'd be
myself,
like, "Dang, you look real beautiful today." You like, no, and I'd be like, "What?"
I just not. But going through that moment, I was like, God, I would never shortchange myself. I'm beautiful.
And what made you like? Do you know what triggered you to always shortchange yourself?
I don't know. I just always felt like I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't the
Mm.
one that the most guys would choose. That's why I think I kind of looked at it like that.
You feel like you was always overlooked.
Yeah,
Okay.
and and I just was like, oh, there's always somebody more prettier than me, more beautiful than me. I used to always look at my flaws and say, okay,
I
I
never
got these
understood
big
that.
elf ears, I got these big eyes, I got these freckles on my face, I got a birthmark on my face. I'm not pretty. Like, I'm not beautiful. I'm just pretty. Or I'm cute, as I would call myself. But yeah, it's also in that moment, like going through that. I thank God for sending me through that season because it was a season that taught me how to preach to myself in the middle of pain
Mm. And a storm.
in a storm.
And it goes back to what you said earlier. What would you tell your cheer team? Give praise till the end of the game.
End of the game. End of the game.
And you had to live it out yourself.
I had to. I, I could not. That, like, I would tell people, like, I don't wish this on my worst enemy. That is, I do say this to all women: stay on top of your health, get checked out, don't play about your health at all. But yeah, this,
Yo, he like you. Well, thank you again. Love you. Good night.
Tears fall like rain on my window pane. Heartache cuts deep, but I won't complain. Found my strength in every scar. Loving myself just the way we are. In the night, shadows whisper my name. Remind me that love don't always stay the same. But I'll rise like the sunbreak of dawn. Sadness only means another day's begun. I don't need nobody to feel complete. Heart in pieces, but I'm still on my feet. Every tear's just a chance to grow. Loving myself from head to toe. Lonely nights when the silence screams. Dreams fade, but I still chase my dreams. Put my pain in a melody. Soul's light shines so bright and free. I don't need nobody to see but me. Remind me that love don't always stay the same. But I'll rise like the sunbreak of dawn. Serving myself just the way we are. In the night, shadows whisper my name. Remind me that love don't always stay the same. But I'll rise like the sunbreak of dawn. Sadness only means another day's begun. In the night I see a warrior's eyes. Battle scars kissed by the skies. Every story, every tear streak line proves my broken heart is still divine. I don't need nobody to feel complete. Heart in pieces, but I'm still on my feet. Every tear's just a chance to grow. Loving myself from head to toe. Only nights when the silence be complete. Heart in pieces, but I'm still on my feet. Every tear's just a chance to grow. Loving myself from head to toe. Loving myself from head to toe. silent screams. Dreams fade, but I still chase my dreams. Feel my pain in a melody. Soul's light shining so bright and free. Lonely nights when the silence screams. Dreams fade, but I still chase my dreams. Feel my pain in a melody. Soul's light shining so bright and free. I don't need nobody, see them on me. Remind me that love don't always stay the same. But I'll rise like the sunbreak of dawn. Accepting myself just the way we are. In my mirror I see a warrior's eyes. Battle scars kissed by the skies. Every story, every tear street line proves my broken heart is still divine.